Do you want to create Python games by using the PyGame library? PyGame is Python package that will elevate your game development skills and enable you to create those games. If you're a complete beginner, don't worry, as you can start by learning the very basics of Python and PyGame. You will then develop two basic games, Guess the Number and the Tic-Tac-Toe game. Those two will assure you that you are ready for the more advanced games later on in the course. The advanced games will start by creating the Pokemon puzzle game, which is probably the most advanced puzzle game that you ever seen. You enable your puzzle to display random pictures to the player, and you will also be able to choose the size and the complexity of this puzzle. I'm uploading completely free programming courses every week, so make sure you hit the subscribe button to get more coding skills. In this lecture, I would like to introduce you to the course. Why do we need to know how to develop games in Python? Obviously, the first reason will be if you would like to be a game developer. It is good to know the packages that Python use in order for you to be able to create games. These are the key code techniques that will make the difference between you and the other game developers and programmers out there. Also, most of the courses, they just give you an explanation of the Python features, but not really a practical examples on how you can use your knowledge in order to create a real-world projects. And this is what I'm trying to solve in my courses. I'm trying to give you a real-world projects because the best way of learning is by example. And for that reason here you will be able to create plenty of games. You can find the complete 11-hour course in the link in the description. You can basically use any IDE and add the Python functionality there, but the one that I particularly use is Eclipse. So here I will first show you how to install Eclipse and set up Python, and then we'll start coding. If you already have Python installed in your device, please skip this part and go to the first lesson of the Python introduction. So here we are in the Eclipse website in the packages installer page, and since I use macOS, I will install Eclipse for macOS. Let's hit download here, and once the installation is ready, you can finally install Eclipse inside your computer. So double click the icon, press open, and here select Eclipse IDE for Java developers. I know we're not developing code in Java, but later on we will add a Python functionality in Eclipse. Press install here, select accept now. Now once the Eclipse is installed, press here launch, and you will see how the Eclipse starts setting up on your computer. Press launch here, and here is the Eclipse starting window. So Eclipse is basically useless if you don't have Java or Python installed in your computer. So since here we're going to install Python, I will show you how to do it from the Eclipse IDE. So press help and select install new software. And how this basically works, here you're writing a website, so I'm gonna write the Python update website, and we're going to pydev.org updates. So hit enter here, and now on the first place you can see the pydev module that you can install in your Eclipse. So select it and press next here again, then accept the agreement and press finish. Select here install anyway, and you can see down here that everything is installing. So now you will need to restart your Eclipse, so press restart now. Now if you search for Python in internet, you should go to python.org, select downloads, and simply download the last version for Python. The website will automatically detect your machine. Since I use Mac OS, it proposes me Python for Mac. Download the file and start the very straightforward installation inside your computer. Press continue, then continue, agree, press install here, and that's it. As you can see, Python is now installed in my computer. Then launch Eclipse, and now create a new project, pydev project, select next here, write py1 for the name of the project, press config, choose from list, and now Python will start searching all available interpreters in your computer. Now obviously select the last version of Python, which is the Python 3.9 as your interpreter, press OK here, press OK once again, and now you have it, you can see, then apply and close. As I see the name is not accepted, so I will just press one more symbol, py1s, and select finish here, and now it will ask you to turn pydev perspective, select open perspective, and now you're in Python mode. You can usually change your perspective from here. You can switch from Python to Java. Now let's try if Python works correctly. So I'll create a new PyDev module. So package will be py11 and the module will be test1. Press OK here and here OK as well. And let's type print hello world, run as Python run, press OK here. And since we get hello world, this means everything is working and we can proceed with the rest of the code. Hi everyone, since you already installed Python in Eclipse, today I will show you how you can install PyGame inside your computer. The process is actually the same regardless of your operating system. You simply need to pull up a terminal and write the following command. So simply write python 3 dash m pipe dash u and then pipe. Actually write install here and that's it. Let's run now this command and you can see that the pipe is already installed in your computer and the installation is completely successful. Now the next thing you need to do is to install the PyGame inside your computer since you already have pipe. So pipe is actually the tool that enables you to install PyGame. So now simply write the following command so the PyGame is getting installed inside your computer. So that's it. Since the PyGame is already installed, now you can proceed. So let's run Eclipse now, set launch here, and as you can see Eclipse already running in our computers. And now I will simply create a new project in order to test if PyGame is already installed. So press here next and let's try the name of the project. But actually before that let's select the Py version. So you can see that I wanted to access the preferences and now I will search for Python 3 since we installed the PyGame in the Python 3 package, and for that reason I will select here choose and this will search for all the Python packages in my computer. Select Python 3 here, press OK now. OK, then this window will pop up. So I will select OK here as well and then apply changes. It will take some time until the changes are applied, but now everything is okay. So now since you set it up this for that project, it will now be working for every new project that you create in Eclipse. So let's open the project, create a new file. I will actually select a project. Actually, let's create a new project just to see that everything works in every project. So I just wrote a random name to that project and let's now make new PyDev module inside. I'll write the class name and the PyDev module, select OK here, and now when you write import PyGame, so let's write import PyGame, you can see that the PyGame package is already there. The compiler knows that we have this package and now we can use it. So this is how guys you can import and install the PyGame package. Thank you very much for watching. We are going to use this package for creating our games and I will see you in the next videos. Introduction to PyGame. Create the game screen. Hi everyone and welcome back to the course. In this section I'm gonna give you just a brief introduction to PyGame. Obviously the package is not very complicated, but I thought it might be quite useful for you so you can see some of the main functions that are used within this package to create games. So let's go to the IDE and create a new project, and I will create a PyDev project and I will call the project intro. Okay, so you can see here the project intro, and inside it I will create one class which will be called PyInt for intro. Let's press OK here. And the first thing that I will show you today is how to basically display a screen or a gameplay inside Python. Now, in every PyGame, the first thing you will need to do is to actually import the PyGame package inside your file. So I will do import PyGame. Okay. And after that, if you want to display a screen, first we need to declare the width and the height of that screen. So we can write width and height will be equal to 800 by 600. Okay, so now let's create a file, or actually a variable called G screen. Okay, and here we'll run the PyGame command in order to display our screen. So you can display screen by simply typing pygame dot display dot set mode, and here instead of size I will put the width and the height that we already declared. So I will do width and height. Okay, so here is how you can create a variable with the width and the height that you want, and after this line your screen is going to be displayed. Now, since you already displayed the screen theoretically, we didn't run the code yet. In order to make the functionality to close the screen, you also need to type some code. So usually in Python and PyGame, when you're making a game, you want to create a main class that will run the game, or will run all the functions inside that game. So I will do def main, and this is actually your main function. And I'll write run equals to true, okay, and then you create a while loop. So while run, so this means while run is equal to true. I will remove the dots here. So while the run is equal to true, so while we're running the game, the way that you can close your window is by checking for the quit event. Okay, there are many events that are happening inside the game. The quit event is responsible for the closing of your game. So you can write for event in events, in PyGame dot event dot get. Okay, so here the program is checking each PyGame event inside your game, and then you will say if the event that you found is event dot type. So if the event dot type is equal to the PyGame dot quit event. Okay, so we say if one of the events that you found is the quit event, then we would like to use this event in order to close our game. So then we'll write PyGame dot, and here we run the quit function. Okay, and this is how you enable the functionality to exit the game by pressing the X in the corner. If you don't do this, you need to terminate the process, which is something you don't want to happen. So that's it here. And now how we run the main function of the game. So here you created the main function, but how you run it. And all of this, there are standard lines for any game. So believe me, these lines you use in almost every game that you create. So now you can write if name is equal to main. Okay, so if the name of the function is equal to main, then what you would like to do is to run that function, main. Okay, and this is the way that you're running the main function. So what we did since now, we created the size of the window, then we created the actual window, and after that we added the functionality to be able to close the window. So now if I run the PyGame, you see that, let me run it, you can see a black screen with nothing in it, and you can close it by pressing the X button. So if I press it, the window gets closed. Okay, this is basically the idea. So here is how, guys, you can create a PyGame window. That was everything for that short video, and bear with me in the next introduction PyGame video. Thanks for watching. Create screen name and fill the screen. Hello everyone. Today I will show you how to name your screen. So let me show you what I mean by this. You know, last time when you created the actual game, you saw that here is certain PyGame window. You would like to change that with the name of the game, so I will show you how to do that. And also I will show you how you can fill your screen with different colors, and I will explain a little bit more about the colors in Python. So the first thing I will do is I will write here just under the gscreen variable, I will create a variable that will show us the name of the screen, or we'll be able to do a custom name on the screen. And this is very simple in PyGame. So you can write PyGame dot display dot set underscore caption. Okay, and this is very simple. So here in the brackets you simply write the name of your window. So if I want my window to be called game1, then I can write it. And now if I run this game here, you see that the name of our window is now game1. Okay, now how do you fill your window with the cover? Now it is very important to know, and actually you will see that throughout the game development. So in Python you declare colors by the RGB standard, and RGB stands for red, green and blue. So you declare the red, the green and the blue colors, and this is how you define another custom colors, and I will show what I mean by this. For example, let's write gscreen dot fill, and with the fill function you are actually filling the screen, obviously. And now the fill function takes the color. So as I said, the color is RGB, and this means you need to declare the red, the green and the blue color. So I will do 255 on 255 on 255, which is the white color. You can usually put 255 or 0 here. So now if I run the game, nothing happens. But why nothing happens? Well, this is because you need to update your screen. So in Python, after you run certain lines of code, you need to write the update function in order to actually update your screen. So let's write PyGame dot display dot update, and actually you don't need these things inside. Okay, so this is the update function, and you will see that now if I run the code, let me do it. So run as python run and select OK. Now our window is filled with white, and I can actually change this color. For example, if here I write 0, now we don't have any green, we have just red and blue. So if we have just red and blue, you can assume what is going to be the color, and yes, it will be purple or pink. I don't know how you call this one, depending on how you see it, but this is what you get when you have only blue and red. So this is how, guys, you can actually fill your window, update it and write a name on it. I hope this video was useful, and I will see you in the next one. Introduction to PyGame. Set screen update rate. Hi everyone, today I will show you two stuff that you really need to know when you're creating games with PyGame. So the first thing, actually, what I will do is not to change the update rate, but to a little bit simplify our code. So you can see here the gscreen fill and the pygame.display update. There is actually an easier way to write these lines and add them into our main function, and this is by creating another function. So I write here def draw fn, and here in that function I will actually add these two lines that we already created about the filling of our screen. So I will simply add them here. Okay, and since you have the lines already here, you can simply draw this by writing the name of the function. So you can write here draw underscore fn to run this function, and this should basically give you absolutely the same effect as the lines that were displayed here. So let's run our code now again, and let's see if this runs correctly. So run as python, and you can see that you see the same screen, which means this function is way more useful than simply placing or throwing these lines inside your main class. Okay, but now I want you to think about something. Now when you create the while loop here that is displaying the game, you're actually, so the times that the game is updating depends on how many times the while loop is executing, and the times that the while loop is executing pretty much depends on your computer, on how fast is your computer. So imagine if you create a game and you distribute it to different people that have different computers, this means that on every computer the game will work differently, and you definitely don't want that. So for that reason, you can define the frame rate with the clock toolkit, which is inside the PyGame toolkit. And how you do that? First of all, let's declare a variable, and this will be called FPS, or frames per second, and I will make it equal to 60. So this means that our game will update with 60 frames for 1 second, okay? So now when I go here in the main loop, in order to create a clock, or what is going to be ticking inside the game, you can do clock equals pygame dot time dot clock, okay? And now this is your game clock, and the next thing you need to do is to simply define how fast this clock is going to update. So I will do clock dot tick, and here inside the brackets write FPS, which is equal to 60. And this is it. This is all you need to know in order to create a clock inside your game. And when you create a clock, this means that the while loop here will be updated with 60 frames per second, no more, no less than this, which is exactly what you want. So I hope this video, guys, was useful. That was everything for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Upload files to your game. Hello everyone. Now the last thing that I want to show you related to the PyGame is how to actually upload files, whether they are going to be pictures or music files inside your game, because this is essential part of every game, to display some pictures or playing some music. Okay, so today I will show you exactly that. Now, the first thing I would like you to do is to go on web and search for a picture that you like. And in my case, I like cars, so I went to internet and I wrote cars PNG. So here is the car that I will be downloading, and I will simply take it and drag it to the desktop. So let's do that. Here's my car, and I drag it to the desktop. So you can see now I have the car here. Let's actually create a folder. Okay, so I'll create a new folder, and the folder will be called resources. Okay, very easy. Now let's drag the picture to the resources folder, and now we have a picture there, right? Now go to your folders and find some MP3 song that you really like, and also drag it to the resources folder. Here we go. So now in this folder you should have one MP3 file and one PNG file. And how you gonna display these files and play these files inside your game? Well, the first stage is very simple. Simply take the resources folder and drag it to your project. So since my project is intro, I will just drag it, and you will see that Python will automatically create a class here. So this is everything you need to do for now. And here we have our resources package. And if I open it, you see that we have the PNG file, which is this one, and this is the car, and also we're having the song. Okay, so that's it. Quite nice, isn't it? But how we're playing and displaying these files inside our game? So let's see how you can add the image inside your game. First, you will need to import the OS package as well, okay? Because this is the package that enables you to access your files. Now, let's write picture, and this will be our variable, and how we connect the picture variable to our actual picture. So as you can see, I already named the picture pic1 and the song song1 mp3, so we can little bit simplify what we're doing today. Now, in order to access your picture, simply write pygame.image.load, and inside you need to write the file name, but you access the file name with the os.path.join, okay? And here inside the brackets of the join, you can write the folder, which is resources, and then the name of the file, which in our case is pic1.png. That's it. So here is how you access your file, and then the displaying is very easy. I will actually add this file to the game from the draw function because we already created the functionality here and there is no point in creating it somewhere else. Now, but how you display the file on your screen? So there is a function called blit, and blit is responsible for displaying a particular object to your screen, and you can write gscreen, so you first define the screen, dot blit, and inside your brackets you need to write the element and from which location you want to display it. So I will write the name of the element, which is picture, okay, then I will write comma, and I will write the location from which I would like to display it, which in my case will be 0, 0. Okay, so we'll display the car from 0 and 0, and obviously it will probably not fit to the screen, but this doesn't matter for the purpose of this experiment. So let me run our program and let's see if we're gonna see the car. So you can see that now the car is displayed on our screen, which is good, and this means that you learned how you can display pictures inside your game. Now let's see how we can actually play the song, and to add the song file I'll actually use another technique different from the PyGame dot something. So we're going to use the technique with the OS path, and I will show how this is done. Let's write song equals os dot path dot join, okay, and then here we can write os dot get cwd, and then here you can simply write resources slash song1.mp3, which is the name of the song, and I think the slash representation looks way better comparing to the previous one. So now you know both techniques and you can use either of them in order to add files inside your PyGame. So now once we have the song in the main class, in order to play a song in PyGame you need to use the PyGame mixer. So let's write PyGame dot mixer dot init. So this is how we initialize the mixer, and then let's write PyGame dot mixer dot music dot load. Okay, and here we can write the file name, which is called song. So let's check if everything is running, and you can see that, or you can actually hear that there is no song, and this is because we loaded the image but we didn't play it yet. And here's how you can play a song with the mixer. Write pygame dot mixer dot play, and in the brackets write -1 in order to loop the song over and over again. Actually here we get error because we need to put music as well. So here is pygame mixer music play, and this is how we are playing our song. So now try to run the code again. And you can see that our song is playing completely fine inside the game. So guys, this is pretty much the basics of PyGame. I hope you enjoyed this sequence of videos, and I think now you are ready to start developing your games. Pokemon puzzle game overview and setup. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today in this section I will show you how you can create a very interesting puzzle game that is a bit more complex than the one that you used to see. So let's run the game and I will show you what I mean by this. So first of all, you will get this entry screen and you can choose from H, M and L depending on what size of your puzzle you would like to see. I will press L here and you can see that we get the smallest size of puzzle, and now we can cope with this Pokemon and try to solve the puzzle. However, if I restart the game and run it once again, and I press M for example, you will get a different type of puzzle, and actually the pictures, they will change depending on a random algorithm. Okay, so randomly you choose one of these 7 pictures here, okay, and you will display it in your puzzle. This will make way more interesting this game when you're trying to play it multiple times. So let's set up our game project, and in the next videos I will show you how to code this amazing game. So first of all, let's create a new project. Select next here, and this game will be called Game 5 Puzzle. Then press finish. Now, since you have the game created already, you will get here this Python 3.8 file, which is basically all the libraries that you will need. Now, the first thing we will do is to drag the resources. You have the resources folder attached to the last lecture of this section. So simply take it from the folder, drag and drop to the folder of your game. Okay, and you can see that now here you have all the resources that you need. Next, we'll create all the files that we need in this video, so we have some structure inside our game. The first I will create the CFG file, CFG, press finish here, and then as you can see the file is ready. Now let's create the next file, so new, PyDef module, and write here game 5, and this is going to be our main file, or the file from which we're going to run our game. So I will press finish here, and now we have the CFG and the configuration file. So these are all the files you will need in order to create your game. You already have the resources here. So as everything is set up, now we are ready for coding, and this will start in the next lecture. Thanks for watching. Puzzle game configuration. Hello everyone. Today I will show you how you can set the configuration file of your puzzle game. This is usually a very short file in which we define the size of the game, the cows in the game, the frames per second, and so on. So this is quite important to start with once you are creating a game in Python. Now the first thing here, I'll import OS, and this is a library that we will use right here. So let's first set the screen size. So I'll write screen size equals 640 to 640. So we're gonna have a rectangular, and then we need to set the root directory of our resources. So what I will do here is I will write picture root directory will be equal to os dot path dot join, and then here we'll use the os package, so os dot get cwd. Here we have the brackets, and get cwd, this is basically the method that allows us to take the directory. And the next thing you will need to write here is the directory name. So our directory name is resources / pictures. Okay, so we're accessing this folder here, and specifically the pictures. Okay, that's great. And the next thing I will do is to access the fonts. So font path, and this is a local variable, so we'll assign the directory to this variable. So every time when you use the font path variable, you refer to the directory of the fonts. And here is pretty much the same. So I write os dot path dot join dot os dot get cwd, and here I will simply write the path of our resources. So resources font, and let me check our font name just to be sure what it is. So here in fonts, this is our font name. If you press F2 here, you can see the name like that, and I will copy it and simply place it here. That's it. So since we're ready with the fonts and we're ready with the pictures, actually here I added an extra dot, so remove this. Let's see if the error is going to be removed. Yes, okay, so everything is fine for now. The next thing we will do is to add the colors. Now I will create a variable called background color, and this will be equal to 255, 255 on 255. This is obviously an array or list, you can call it how you want, and you'll see how this works. So here I'll create a red cover, and this will be equal to 255 0 0. Then I will create blue, which will be equal to 0 0 255, and finally I will create black, which will be equal to 0 0 and 0. That's it. And what are these numbers are? These are basically the cover code of each cover. So red refers to 25500, blue to 255, and so on. You'll see how this works later on when we start coding our main file. Now, then let's create the frames per second FPS, and the frames per second will be 40 for this game. And finally, we'll create a random number which will be equal to 100, and later on we're going to use this in order to refer to our pictures. So I added only 7 pictures, but you can add way more, so the player cannot expect what picture is he going to see. And for that we're going to use 100 random numbers, which means you can add to your game up to 100 pictures, which is quite amazing. So that's everything for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Now, after we set up the configuration file, we're going to move to the main file, but this will start in the next video. Thanks for watching. Pokemon Puzzle, move parts and end screen. Hi everyone, welcome back to the course. Today we are going to write some functions inside our main file. First of all, I want to apologize because in the last video I added the configuration code inside the main file. So this is very easy to fix. Just copy everything you wrote until now, press here Ctrl X, and simply place it inside your configuration file. So you can place it here and then press Ctrl S to save it. So now you save this. Now you have the configuration data in your CFG file, and also you have this game 5 file. So what I want you to do is to I'll close it and then reopen it. So go here to game 5, double click, and now you can start writing code inside your game 5, which is your main file. In Python, it is always better before start writing your main loop, your main game loop in your running code. It is first the most important to import all the libraries and also to write the functions that are going to drive your game. So here we're going to do few things. The first thing I will do is to write the run statement, okay, which is basically going to run your main function. So I will write if name equals to main, then run the main function. Okay, so for now we're getting error here because we need to write plenty of code in order to use this statement, and this is going to be in the bottom of our code. So forget about this for now, but it's good to have it if you want to run your game before writing the complete code. Now, the first thing we will do today is to import all the necessary libraries for our game. So I write import OS, then import sys, then import CFG, then we'll import the random numbers, and this is the way that we are going to choose from our pictures completely randomly. Then we are going to add the PyGame, of course, so we can use all the PyGame libraries and packages inside our game, which obviously simplifies the creation of the game way more. Now, since you added your packages, the next most important thing you will need to do is to write the game over function. So function in Python we define with def. So let's write is game over board and size. So this function will take as input the board and the size parameters, and once it takes these parameters we'll write assert, and here we'll run the isInstance function, and I'll write size and then int. So you will think why we run this. The first thing in this function is we want to check if the size is integer. So here in the assert statement, we're checking if the size of our game is the right type. This is everything we do, and this is what we do with this isInstance function. So if we get the right type, then this function will return true and the code will continue executing. It's sometimes quite good to have these checks in order to ensure that your game will always run smoothly. Next, let's write num cells equals size multiplied by size. Okay, the ones of you who are good with math can see what is that. Simply, we're defining the number of cells in our game by multiplying the vertical to the horizontal size. And this is how we get the total number of cells. Now, let's create a for loop. So for I in range num cells, so -1. So for every cell, what we would like to do is to check if board I is not equal to I, then return false. So here we simply check for every cell if the cell in that board is not equal to the actual cell, then we return false. But if it is equal, or if every cell is on the right place, we're gonna return true, and this means that the game over function will be activated. And here we return. So here we return true. Okay guys, that's it with the game over function. Now let's write the next function. And actually this is going to be a set of functions which we're not going to be able to write all of them today, but today we will start with the move left and the move right functions. So let's start. def dot move r for move right, and this function we will take as an inputs board blank cell idx for index num calls, which stands for the number of columns. Now here we write an if loop. So we want to say if blank cell index percent num calls is equal to 0. So this means when we divide blank cell index to the number of columns, we're not getting anything left. Then let's return this index. Okay. Now if board, so the next one is board blank cell index -1, and then board blank cell index will be equal to board blank cell index and board blank cell index -1. And here I write return blank cell index -1. So this is how we move right from the cell indexes. Now let's write the functions for moving left. Now I'll copy this one because the difference between the move right function and move left function is quite small. So I'll copy, and here I will change to move left. Then I'll write if blank cell index +1 percent number of columns is equal to 0, then return the blank cell index. Then let's write board blank cell index +1 board blank cell index equals to board blank cell index comma board blank cell index +1 here again, and then we'll return blank cell index +1. And this is how we move left to our cells. So there are two more functions, obviously, the up and down, but today we already spent quite a lot of time in this lecture, so we'll continue with this and more things in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Pokemon puzzle. Create game board. Hi programmers, As I promised last time, today we're going to continue with the moving functions and we're going to create the move up and the move down functions. So the first thing I will do is to copy the move left function and to paste it down here, and we'll change from move left to move down, so move D here. It will obviously take the same inputs, but here there will be some differences. So here we will check if the blank cell index is smaller than the number of columns, okay? So if the blank cell index is more than the number of columns, then we will return the blank cell index. And then here what we're going to check next is if, so since if the statement is completed, then we're going to write board blank cell index minus number of columns, board blank cell index, and here board blank cell index, comma, board blank cell index, again minus the number of columns. That's it. And here what we're going to return is blank cell index minus obviously the number of columns, like we did in the last two functions. So I'll copy this because the move up function is really similar to this one. So now let's write move up, and we're going to pass here the same parameters, and then I will write if the blank cell index is here higher or equal to the number of cells, and actually here equal to 0 is going to be removed from both methods. And also in this function I'll write one more parameter which will be called num rows. Okay, so we'll check if the blank cell index is higher or equal to the number of rows minus 1 multiplied by the number of columns, and here we'll return again the blank cell index, and then we'll write board blank cell index plus number of columns, and here is again going to be plus the number of columns, and we'll again return the blank cell index plus the number of columns here. Okay, so these are all the functions, they are completely done. We can now proceed with creating the create board function. So let's write a def create board, and we'll pass here the number of rows, the number of columns, and the number of cells. So the first thing I'll create is simply the board, which is going to be a list. So I'll write board will be equal to an empty list, and now the next code will basically fill that list. So let's write for I in range num cells board dot append I. Okay, and if you're familiar with the append function, this means that here we're basically going to append the number of cells inside our board array, and then we're able to play with this board array, right? So let's write here blank cell index equals to num cells minus 1, and then board blank cell index will be equal to minus 1. So what we say here is the blank cell index here itself, it's equal to the number of cells minus 1, while the position in the board, which is equal to the blank cell index, will be equal to minus 1, okay? Now, once ready with this, there is a time for the big for loop here. So for I in range cfg dot random. Okay, so as you see here, we're using the file cfg that we just created in the last game, and we're using the random number, which in our case is 100. So basically here we're passing the number 100 to the range. So this means for every number between 0 and 100, we're going to run this for loop. Now let's write here direction, which is a completely new variable, will be equal to random dot rand int or random integer, and here we'll pass the parameters 0 and 3. Okay, so here, since we used this random integer from 0 and 3, now we can position our board. So what we're doing, if you remember how the board looked like, right? You have many cells inside the board, and here we were choosing random number from 0 to 3, and each number refers to direction, left, right, up and down. So each cell will have the option to have different coordinates on left, right, up and down. So once you launch the game and create the board, the different cells are displayed in completely random positions, and this is how it's done. So I'll write here if direction is equal to 0, or 0 means that we're now concentrated on the left coordinate. We'll write blank cell index equals move, and here we use the move left function, and we'll use board blank cell index and number of columns. So we're going to activate this function right here. Then let's write if direction equals to 1. Here we care about the right direction, so I write blank cell index will be equal to move right, and that's it. We're passing the blank cell index here. And here actually I did a spelling mistake, so I wrote black instead of blank, so I'll fix this. That's why we got this error here. So here is blank cell IDX, and I'll fix the other one as well, so we have some consistency here. And now you can see the error disappears because the name blank cell index is the same within the create board function, okay, that we created, and the other move functions. Actually, we can even choose a different name here, but I keep this just for consistency. So let's continue with the rest of the loops. So another if direction equals to 2, then okay, here is blank cell index, and here is blank cell index, and here is blank cell index. Now, so this will be equal to move up, that's it, and then if direction equals 3. So if the direction is equal to 3, then we write blank cell index equals to move down, that's it. And now once we are ready, I'll write return board comma blank cell index. Okay, so the output of this function, and later on we're going to use it, is going to be the board and the index of the blank cell. Okay, and this is how we're going to know where is the blank cell. Okay, that's cool. We're ready with this function, guys. This is our create board function. Thank you very much for watching, and in the next video we're going to continue with creating the images and adding the path to our images. So that was everything for this lecture. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Get images and end screen. Hi everyone, after we already created our board, now it's time to get the images from our files and actually use the configuration file that we already created in the previous lecture, and also I will write a simple function that will define the end screen. So let's get started. The first thing I will do is to write def get image paths, and here I will pass the root directory, so root directory, okay, and then let's write image names will be equal to os.list directory, and inside I will write the parameter that we already passed, which is root directory. Okay, now we need to check if everything with our files is okay, so for that reason I write assert. So assert len image names should be higher than 0 if you want to continue with this function, and then we will return os.path.join, and here I will pass the parameters root directory, and then we'll use the random library that we already imported inside this file. So I write random dot choice, and in the brackets I write image names, the variable that we already created. So that's it. We're ready with our get path images, and we can now proceed to the next function in which we're going to define our end interface. So let's write again def show end interface, and here I will write screen, so we'll pass the screen parameter, the width and the height. Okay, we'll pass these parameters to this function, and inside we're going to use them. So let's write now screen dot fill, and I will fill the screen with the background color. So here I'll write cfg dot background color. So below I write font, and I will pass the font that is predefined in our in our resources folder. So as you can see, we already have the font here, and I will simply pass it. So I'll write font equals to pygame dot font dot with capital letter font, so we're accessing the font class, and here I'll write cfg dot font path that we already predefined in our font folder, in our configuration folder actually. And after that I will also define the width of the font, so I write width divided by 15, so the width that we will pass to this function divided by 15. That's it. And now we see font underlined because we haven't yet used it in order to write anything on our screen. But now we will change that by typing title equals font dot render, and inside the render method first we need to define a text. So the text will be good job, you won. Okay, and this will be the text on the end screen that will show the user that he won the game, because in this game actually the only opportunity is whether you play until infinity or you win the game. Then I write true. Now for the color I will remove the background, but for the color we're again going to use the color code. So let's write 233, 150 and 122, and that's it. Then let's create a rectangular, and this rect will be equal to title dot get rectangular, so we're getting the rectangular around our title, and that's it. Now you can see that this rectangular here is again underlined, and we have a warning because we haven't used it. But when I write rect dot mid top equals, and this will be equal to width divided by 2, and then height divided by 2.5. Okay, and in that way we define the middle point of our rectangular. Then let's write screen dot blend, so we add this rectangular in our screen, sorry it's blend, and then here I will pass title and rectangular rect. Pretty standard method to add actually objects in your screen. That's it. Then let's write pygame dot display dot update, and here is how we update our display. That's it. Now let's write a while loop. So while true, we would like actually to be able to quit the game from that screen. So here for any event in all the package of the PyGame events, we will be able to quit our game. And I will write for event in pygame.event.get. So for each event in the PyGame events, if the event.type is equal to pygame.quit or bracket event.type is equal to pygame.keydown and event.key equal to pygame.quit dot k underscore escape. So either we press the X button in the corner or we hold down the key down and also the escape. So in both cases we would like our game to be quitted. So in that cases PyGame dot quit, and also we have to say this in the sys event. So sys dot exit, and that's it. We are ready. So here outside this for loop we'll write PyGame dot display dot update, and we're ready with that function. So these were the functions, guys, that we're going to do today. The first one responsible for the images, and the second one responsible for our end screen and quit from the end screen functionality. So that was everything for this lecture, and I will see you in the next one. Pokemon puzzle. Initial screen setup. Hello everyone. Today we are going to create quite a long function, so for that reason it is going to be only a single one that we will basically design our initial screen. So once you run the game, this screen will automatically activate, and this is the first thing you will see from your game. So let's get started. Let's write def show start interface, and then screen width height. Then let's write screen dot fill cfg dot background color. Okay, so in the initial screen we will display the background color as well, and here t font will be equal to PyGame dot font dot font, and then cfg dot font path width is going to be 4. Okay, then let's create another font. So this will be C font, and you will see how later we'll use this type of fonts. So this will be equal to PyGame dot font cfg dot again font path. So it is going to be the same font, but the width here will be 20, and then the title will be T font. So we use a T font here in order to create our title dot render, and here in the render method I will write the text, which is going to be called puzzle, then true, and the color will be cfg dot red. Okay, so we're ready with the value for our title, and next let's write content 1 will be equal to C font dot render, and here again let's write press H M or L to choose your puzzle, then value true, and the color will be CFG dot, let's make it blue, this one. That's it. Then content 2 will be equal to C font dot render, so H will be 5 by 5, then M will be 4 by 4, and L will be 3 by 3. Okay, let's write here true, comma CFG dot, and this one will also be blue. Okay, we're ready with the content and with the title. So the next thing I will do is to create a rectangular. So T rect equals title dot get rect, then trect dot mid top. So here I'm trying to get the middle point on the top of this rectangular, and this will be simply equal to width divided by 2 and height divided by 10, because we would like to get on the top and get the middle of the width. Let's write it then. C rect 1 will be content 1 dot get rect, and then C rect 1 will be equal dot mid top will be equal here to width divided by 2 and height divided by 2.2, and then I will get the rectangular of the content 2. So let's write content 2 dot C rect 2 will be equal to content 2 dot get rect, and then C rect 2 dot mid top will be equal to width divided by 2 and height divided by 1.8. And here's how we get the middle points of each rectangular around our title and both contents. Now let's blend the screen. So screen dot blend title and T rect, okay. Then screen dot blend, and here will be content 1 comma C rect 1, and let's copy this and simply place it below, and here will be screen dot blend content 2 and rect 2. So this is how we add the rectangulars and our contents inside our screen. But what happens if we press the keys that we propose, which means the keys H, M and L? Well, you know the answer. You start the game, right? So for that reason here I will create a while loop. So let's write while true for event in PyGame dot event dot get. So for the event we will check if event dot type is equal to PyGame dot quit, or event dot type is equal to PyGame dot key down, and event dot key is equal to PyGame dot key underscore escape. Then we would like PyGame dot quit to be run, and also PyGame sys dot exit to be run as well. So this in the case we are in the start interface, but we still for some reason want to quit the game. We have this option, and basically this while loop is absolutely the same as the show end interface while loop, right? However, here we'll add something more. So if we don't do this, so if we don't press the quit button, or we don't press the escape and key down button, there are 3 more buttons that we can press, right? We can press H, M and L button in order to start the game, and we want to define that. So we can simply write if event dot type equal to PyGame dot key down if event dot key is equal to ORDL, then we'll return 3. Okay, and you might wonder why we use the number 3 here. Well, In every letter, we're going to return a number which we will later use in order to say to the program which exact size of our screen to run. Okay, but now here in the main screen, we just want to define a separate number for each button pressed. So we have two more if statements. So if event.key equals ord m return 4. Okay, so there is actually one more if loop. I want you to pause the video right now and try doing it yourself, and it should return 5. Okay, so try to do it. I give you exactly 30 seconds. Start right now and stop the video, take 30 seconds to write it. If you cannot, take 1 minute. If you still cannot, then put the video again and see the answer. Okay, so I hope you completed it already, but I will still write it. So it will be if event dot key equals ord, and then it's gonna be h, since we want the h letter here. Okay, and we'll return 5. Okay, and this will refer actually to the size of our screen. Now, once we are ready with this if loop, actually congratulations for completing the last part. After we are done with this statement and actually function, we will run PyGame dot display dot update. Okay, and this is how we're updating the game inside this while loop. So this update function, please make sure that it's on the same line as the for loop here. Okay, so it's outside our event loop. Okay, but it's inside the while loop. So this is the function, guys. This is the show start interface function, and actually this was the last function that you had to do before starting running your main class. So in the next video, we'll actually start by defining our main class and call all the functions that we already created. Thanks for watching. Main function params and first run. Hey programmers, today we're going to start creating the main function of our game, which means you're quite close to the end of this section. Don't you worry, there are going to be many more games, but now let's first finish this one. So let's write here def main, and this is how we define our main class. And now we're ready to start coding inside. So first I write PyGame dot init, and this is how you usually initialize your game inside the main class using the PyGame package. And then I will set a clock. This will be equal to PyGame dot time dot clock, and then we will set the images used. So I write game dot underscore img dot used, and this will be equal to pygame dot image dot load get image path, and here we will specify the root directory, which is in our cfg file. So cfg dot picture root dir. Okay, so here we access the pictures, and then I will write game underscore img underscore used will be equal to pygame dot transform dot scale, and here we want to ensure that regardless how different the sizes of our pictures are, we're going to fit them in our screen in order to use them. So let's write game underscore image used, and here instead of width and height we'll use our custom variable, which is called, so this is in the cfg, screen size. Okay, so the image will be the size of the screen. Quite simple, isn't it? So next let's write game underscore img underscore used, underscore rect, and here we'll create a rectangle around the pictures so we can refer to their coordinates and apply functions on the movement of the pictures. So I will write game underscore img used dot get rect. That's it. So this is about the pictures. Now let's write screen equals PyGame dot display dot set mode cfg dot screen size, and then let's write PyGame dot display dot set caption, and this is the caption on our gameplay, so the caption will be Pokemon. Okay, next let's write size equals, so here we create a custom size variable, so this will be equal to show start interface, and obviously here we need to pass the screen width and height. So the screen will be the same as the screen defined variable early on, okay, as you can see here. So I will leave this. Then the width here will be actually the width and the height of the rectangular of our picture. So I write game underscore image used rectangular dot width, and then game underscore img underscore used rectangular dot height. Then we will check if the size is an integer, just in case. So I write assert is instance, and then the object will be size and the class will be int. Okay, so here we ensure that the size variable is integer, and if everything is okay, we will write num rows num columns equals size and then size. Okay, so the numbers and the columns are equal to the size variables, and obviously the number of cells, so num cells will be equal to the multiplication of the size to itself, because the number of cells is located in a square. Okay, now we're ready with that, and let's write here cell width, and this will be equal to game underscore img rectangular dot width divided by the number of columns, and then the cell height. Actually, stop the video here and write the cell height. I give you this time 1 minute, so try doing it yourself. The cell height, it should be written in the same way as the cell width. There are just about 2 differences here, but I will leave you to figure them out. So stop the video for 1 minute and then I will give you the answer. Now, as I said, cell height is quite simple and quite closer to the cell width. So I write here cell height will be equal to, again, game image rectangular, but here is dot height, and we're going to divide it by the number of rows, okay, that we predefined here. Okay, so this is how we find the cell width and the height, and cell is one square inside our whole image, one of the movable squares in our puzzle. So let's now run the game, but before that we will need to write one while loop in order to specify when we create the board and when we do game over. So let's write while true game board blank cell idx equals to create board So this is a predefined function, and here we need to specify the number of rows, which is also a local variable, so we can use this, the number of columns, which we also have, and the number of cells, which we also created here, so we don't need to specify any different inputs to this function. And then if not is game over, and here for board we will write the game board, and for size the name is the same as the variable defined here, so that's fine. And here we will break. Okay, so if we cannot run the create board function, we will run the is game over function and we will break from the while loop. Okay, this is it. And outside the while loop, let's write is running equal to true. Now I'm just going to fix one small mistake here. I again did black cell index instead of blank cell index. Okay, so here we want to refer to the right variable, obviously. And let's run the game now and see if we will see the main screen. Okay, so yes, as you can see the puzzle name, and also press H, M or L, and also the size of the game. So obviously if I press now, let's say L, I'm exiting the game because there is nothing to happen. Okay, there is nothing to happen if I press this button. So for that reason, in the next videos we are going to create this functionality, what's gonna be displayed once we press these buttons and how we will actually start the game. Thanks for watching. Mouse and keyboard controls. Hi everyone, today we are going to define what will happen once we select the mouse controls and the keyboard controls in our game. And we will do this in this while loop where the game is running. So I'll write here while is running, and now this is the main while loop of the game. So now here the game is running, and first I will write a for loop. So for event in PyGame dot event dot get. So for every PyGame event I will write if event dot type equals PyGame dot quit or event dot type equals PyGame dot key down and event dot key equals PyGame dot key escape. Okay, so again, as you can see, we are writing this statement for if we quit the game. We want to be able to quit at every stage on our code. So I write here PyGame dot quit and also sys dot exit. That's it. So once we define this, now it's time to define what is happening for the keys pressed on the keyboard. Now let's write L if event dot type equals PyGame dot key down. So for every pressed key, okay, we would like to check first if we pressed certain key. So if event dot key equals PyGame dot key left or event dot key equals ORD A. So if we either press the left key or the A key on our keyboard, what we would like to happen? Well, we would like blank cell index to be equal to obviously move left function, and to this function we will pass game board, blank cell index and number of columns, and this is how we are going to move left. Now let's write with event dot key equals PyGame dot k underscore right or event.key equals to ord d. Okay, so either we press the right arrow or the D button. We would like to happen the following: blank cell index to be equal to move r function, and here we will pass game underscore board, blank cell index, and number of columns. That's right. Now let's write elif event dot key equals pygame dot k up or event dot key equals ord, and in the brackets I write w. So if we press either of these keys, we would like blank cell index to be equal to move up function, and here we will pass game board, blank cell index, number of rows and number of columns. Then let's write elif event dot key equals pygame dot k underscore down, so down arrow, or event dot key equals ord s, and if either of these keys is pressed, we will do blank cell index equals to move down function game board, and the rest of the parameters are absolutely the same, so I will leave them. And this is how we control the movement of our cells with the keyboard. But since I want you to learn how to use the mouse and the keyboard, we're also going to enable controls with the mouse. So inside this for loop, I write another elif statement. So now we have if statement for quitting the game, we have if statement for using the keyboard for controlling the game, and now we'll create another elif for using the mouse to control the game. So I write event dot type equals pygame dot mouse button down, so if you press the mouse button, and event dot button equals to 1. Now let's write here x y will be equal to pygame dot mouse dot get position, and here is how we get the position of the mouse, so we know on which place we have clicked. Very important. Now x pos will be equal to x divided by the cell width, and the y position will be equal to y divided by the cell underscore width. Sorry, here is height. That's it. And now let's create the index variable here. So idx will be equal to x pos plus y pos multiplied by the number of columns, and then we will say if idx is equal to blank cell index minus 1, then blank cell index will be equal to the move right function. Okay, and here we will pass the game board. Okay, and after that is quite similar. So I write elif idx. So if the idx is equal to the blank cell index plus 1, then we write blank cell index equals to move left function with the game board, and then elif idx equals blank cell idx number of columns. Then let's write blank cell index will be equal to move up function with the game board. And finally, with idx equals to blank cell index minus number of columns, and this will be equal to blank cell index equal to move down function, and here we have the game board as well. And that's it, guys. So here we defined how to run the move functions depending on whether we choose to use a keyboard and the mouse. Quite useful. So this is the whole function that we wrote today. So this is the whole function, guys. I really appreciate that you watched this long video. Thank you very much for watching. And in the next and final lecture, we will define how to update our screen while we play the game, and we will run the actual game and play it. Thanks for watching. Game over and screen update. Hello everyone, today is the final lecture of this section, and finally you will be able to run your game. So what I want you to do is to go in the while loop and go one indentation level in, okay? So on the same line as you wrote the previous for loop, okay? And the first thing I will do, so right here, you know in Python it's quite important to follow the indentation levels. But anyways, the first thing I will do is to determine if the game is over or not. So let's write here if is game over, game board and size. We will do game underscore board blank cell index will be equal to num cells minus 1, and also is running function now will be equal to false. And that's it. So now once we defined what happens if the game is over, let's define what happens when our screen is updated. So I write here screen dot fill cfg dot background color. Okay, so now we set the background color, and I'll write for I in range, and the range will be the number of cells obviously, and I will check if game board at position I is equal to -1, then continue. So continue means that the loop will start execute from the beginning. Okay, and now if it's not equal to -1, we will write x position equals to I divided by the number of columns, and y position will be equal to I number of columns. So when we divide I to number of columns, if there is some number left, to this we're going to assign the y position. Now let's create a rectangular. So rect will be equal to PyGame dot rectangular, and here we use the y position multiplied by the cell width, then x position multiplied by the cell height and then cell width and cell height. So if you don't know what a rectangular function is doing, it's basically creating rectangular from the coordinates, which are these ones, okay, and from the width and the height, okay. It takes two coordinates and then create a rectangular with certain width and height on our gameplay. And obviously here we're going to create multiple rectangulars in our for loop, okay. For every cell we will create a rectangular. Now let's write img area equals to PyGame dot rectangular game board at position I, then %sign number of columns multiplied by cell underscore width, and then game board at position I divided by the number of columns multiplied by cell height, and then cell width and cell height. So here's how we define the image area, okay, with another rectangular here, okay. And then let's create screen dot blit, and you know already what the blit function is doing. Game underscore img used rectangular and img underscore area. Okay, so this is here's how we add the actual image on our screen here. And then let's create a for loop. So for I in range num calls +1, then PyGame dot draw dot line, and now here's how we're actually going to draw our objects. So here you need to define first the surface, and in our case the surface is the screen, okay. Then the color will be cfg dot black, okay. Then the start position will be defined as I multiplied by cell width and 0. Now the end position will be defined as I multiplied by cell width game img use rect dot height, and there's another bracket here. Okay, that's it. And then another for loop for I in range num rows +1, and now we will define the positions row wise. So here I will write PyGame dot draw dot line, and now here again we have the screen, then we have cfg dot black color, and the difference here will be in the positions. Obviously here we're simply drawing the border lines between each cell, okay. That's why the color here is black. So here you can write 0 I multiply by cell height, and then for the other position we will have game img used rect dot width, and then I multiplied by cell height. Okay, so we're ready with that. And then PyGame dot display dot update. So here is how we update the game, and then let's write clock dot tick cfg dot fps. So our clock will be based on the 40 frames per second, and this is how we will create our game to be exactly 40 frames per second by using the clock and the frames per second. Okay, so we're ready guys with the while loop. Actually I'm gonna go further a little bit so I can show you. Okay, a little bit more. So here's our while loop, as you can see on this indentation level, and now since we're out of it, I will go here, okay, and I'll get closer so you can see. Now Now we're out of the while loop, and I will write the function show end interface. So since we're no longer playing the game, we would like to show the end interface, and here I will use screen game img used rectangular dot width, and then game use rectangular dot height. Okay, so let's just bring our main function a bit closer, and this is our game. So since we're ready, let's just check our code for errors. And actually the first thing I can see is that these for loops here, you can see them, they should actually be outside this other for loop here because they have completely separated function. So I will press here Ctrl X, and I will go one indentation level out, and I will simply place them on the same indentation level as the other for loop. Okay, so this is how this for loops should look like. Also, we will do the same for the PyGame display update. We want to be out of the range for loop. So let's display it here. And now we're done. So let's run the game and see what basically happens if everything will run fine. So you can see the picture, and you can see that we can freely move the picture with the mouse. Okay, and now we'll try with the keyboard. So left, right, up, down works. And now we'll try with WASD. So W S A D. Okay, which means that everything worked completely fine. So congratulations guys, you developed your first more complex puzzle game, and now there is nothing left unless enjoying it and playing it with your friends. I hope this section was useful for you, and I will see you in our next adventure. Thanks for watching.